Hey everyone, Shaun Stevenson here, author of the Throne series, and today I am finally doing my HEEBIE JEEBIES series ranking. So I have put these books all in order from my least favorite to my most favorite. This series is a Christian knockoff of Goosebumps, and it comes after the other Christian knockoff of Goosebumps called Spine Chillers Mysteries, or Spine Chillers originally. HEEBIE JEEBIES was co-written by Paul Buchanan and Randall, and this was a pretty fun series. I didn't know the series existed until about a year ago when I discovered the first one on the shelves of a used bookstore, and I thought, what is this? And I didn't know what it was, and then I suddenly realized, oh, this is a Christian, like, Goosebumps type series. I would like to read these. Let's find out more about them. So I ended up getting all 10. Now, as of the recording of this video, these books are getting really hard to find all of a sudden. They have gone up in price quite a bit. They're harder to find online. I still have found some in used bookstores. I actually found one for 50 cents recently. So they're definitely out in the used bookstores pretty cheap, but online they're getting expensive. Like one of these books goes for over $75 now. So it's getting interesting in the HEEBIE-JEEBIES world. But I have read all 10, so let's get into my ranking, and this is my definitive ranking of the HEEBIE-JEEBIES series. Coming in at number 10 is, I would say, the worst HEEBIE-JEEBIES book. And that's very unfortunate because it was Wild Ride on Bigfoot Mountain. This book, I think I was excited about it because I am originally from the Pacific Northwest, where there are lots of Sasquatch, Bigfoot legends. People talk about Sasquatch. There are people that I knew that believed Sasquatch is real and out there. I mean, you never know. It could be out there somewhere. But I had a lot of hopes for this book. But then I read this book, and it just had so many plot holes. It was not very good. The main character was really annoying because he didn't like his best friend. They were best friends, but he didn't like his best friend. And so he just always was like annoying his friend. And then the very ending is so obvious and really kind of you thought you were going to trick us with that ending? Okay, well, you tried, but that's not going to work. This one was just not good. This is an anthology series, so you don't have to read them all in order to have the full breadth of what a HEEBIE-JEEBIES book is like. So unless you are a completionist and you really want to read all 10, skip this one. It's just not good. The other ones I would say are pretty good, but this one is actually bad. So I don't recommend this one. Wild Ride on Bigfoot Mountain. It's just not the best. Coming in at number 9 is the first book in the series, The Rat That Ate Poodles. Now this book, it has a very creepy cover, I would say, that is very nightmare fuel inducing. But this was a very well constructed book, I would say. It had really good bones to the story and the outline, and it wove all the different plot lines together so well. And I actually felt like the terror inside the main character's mind over what was happening was well played in the writing, in the way that things were handled. The ending is a little bit lackluster and a little bit like wah wah, but the journey's pretty good getting there. And I think as a kickoff to the series, it's a very solid entry. And it kind of gives you a little bit of like, this is what the series is going to be like going forward. It's still not the best. Like there are other ones that are way better than this one. So that's why it's at number 9, but it was fine, I would say. A good opening, but not the best in the series. And then coming in at number 8 is Return to Terror Cove. Now, this is book number 10 in the series. It's the last book, and I have such mixed feelings about this book. That's why this book is so low on my list at number 8, because there's some elements of this book that I think don't really work. There's some kind of nonsensical things that happen that you're thinking, well, that just doesn't make sense. Like, why would the parents let their kids do that? Why would the adult do that? Like, this is just a little bit silly. But then you have some other moments in this book that are so good and so scary. So this one was a real mixed bag for me. And I thought it was good, but I couldn't get past a few of the glaring holes that I saw in this book. And unfortunately, it lands at number 8 for me. And then coming in at number 7 is book number 3, The Mysterious Treasure of the Slimy Sea Cave, which is the longest title in the series, I believe. Although Wild Ride on Bigfoot Mountain might be technically longer. I'm not sure. Let me know in the comments which one's technically longer, because I'm filming right now and I don't have time to think about it. The Mysterious Treasure of the Slimy Sea Cave, book number 3, comes in at number 7 for me because it was a good entry, but this played a lot more like a solid adventure story than a spooky story. Although this book has an unanswered question that I would love to ask the author about, because there is an unanswered moment in this book that I was thinking, wait, you never actually said what that was. What was going on there? And that made it pretty spooky. So this one, it was pretty good. It also, I felt like, had a decent ending. So I think this one was kind of getting to the spot. In book number 3, it was pretty good. I enjoyed it quite a bit. I read it really fast because I enjoyed it so much. So this one is definitely a solid entry in the series. And then coming in at number 6 is book number 2, Welcome to Camp Creeps. Now this one was what kind of sold me on the series. The first book I thought, okay, this is fun, like this is good. But then I read this one. And this one had legitimate danger. Now, I say that because in Spine Chiller's Mysteries, kind of the other Christian book series that's a spooky book series, that one, there is like never any actual danger. There's like noises in the hall. What does it end up being? Oh, the water heater was acting up. It's just things like that it's never ever actually anything dangerous or scary. But this one actually legitimately has scary danger in it, and there are actual villains and actual things after the main characters, and it has a good mystery. I really enjoyed this one. This one is the one that sold me on the series and made me think, okay, there is something here for sure in this series. I'm enjoying this a lot. So that's why this book comes in at number 6. And then coming in at number 5 is Piranha Picnic, the most expensive Heebie Jeebies book online right now. This one is a lot of fun. The piranhas are creepy as all get out and make for a very terrifying situation, actually. And there's a pretty good mystery here, I would say. I will also say that I think that there were some missed opportunities. This is not going to be the first book that we're coming to that had some missed opportunities, where I think it could have been an even stronger storyline if a couple of different choices had been made. But this one was definitely a great entry in the series with some actually shocking twists. There was one moment near the end where I thought, wait, what? That is that? What's going on here? And it definitely like twisted the whole story on its head. So definitely some good moments in this one. Piranhas are actually a really creepy thing to talk about in a book because they're vicious. So it gets vicious in this book, I will say. And I really enjoyed it. Also, I have to say, the main character in this book is the most clever main character. The main character thinks of something that I was like, that was really smart, and I never would have thought of that. It just was one of those kinds of moments where you're thinking, wow, that was legitimately a super clever thing to do, and you found out what you needed to find out through a really ingenious idea. So it was great. I really enjoyed this one. That's why this one's at number 5. And then coming in at number 4, now we are in kind of a line of a few of these that they are just pretty good all the way through. The next one is number 4, and that is book number 7, Along Came a Spider. Now this one, if you have arachnophobia, do not read this book. When I was reading this book, I legitimately saw a giant spider run across my living room while I was reading it, and I no joke screamed because I had been reading a scene where spiders fall all over the main characters, and it was so creepy and just disgusting that I couldn't handle it very well. So, if you have arachnophobia, do not read this book. It will bother you a lot. This one has a really great mystery to it that's pretty spooky. I will say, though, there's a part near the end of this one that I wasn't quite sure what was happening. It was a moment where the action was moving a little too fast, and I thought, wait, what's going on? I'm not following exactly. So that was a little bit difficult to follow at the very end, but overall, this was a really good entry in the series. Now, my number 3 pick, if you've watched my review of this book, might seem a little controversial because the more I've thought about it, the more I've really thought this one was a good entry in the series. And the number 3 pick for me is book number 8, Dances with Werewolves. Now, this one, it gets so high up on the list because I will just say from the outset, the ending is bad. It is a bad ending. It is not good. I did not like the ending of this book. But that said, the journey to the ending is incredible and so well done. So creepy, so spooky. In this one, you have a setup where these kids are at camp and they tell creepy stories around the campfire. And the 3 creepy stories that are told in full in this book are legitimately scary, especially the very first one about this car breakdown in the middle of nowhere. Oh, that one definitely got my blood pumping just a little bit. And I was kind of looking around like, uh-oh, I'm actually a little freaked out right now reading this story. So that's why this one gets the number 3 spot for me, because those stories and the buildup is so good. Now, this is one of those other books I think there was a choice they could have made that they didn't, and it was definitely a miss. I think they definitely didn't do the ending the way they should have and what they could have done with it, but that's okay. I forgive it for the rest of the book being so good. That's why this one is at number 3. My number 2 pick, this one I know might surprise some people because this is another one. The more I've thought about it, this one I thought might be my favorite, but ended up being my second favorite to another one. So my second favorite book in this series is book number 5, The I Scream Truck. Now, the reason for this is this one is... It's still scary in some moments, but it's a little more of a thriller feeling to it. It kind of has, even though this cover is so goofy looking, this book is actually much more sinister than this cover. And I really enjoyed it. This one, I really didn't have anything bad to say about it. The ending is really pretty good. The mystery is great. The spooky elements are really awesome. There's some great twists and turns with some reveals that are well done. I really enjoyed this one. In my opinion, if you want to know what a HEEBIE JEEBIES book is like, this is probably one of the best ones to read because I think this one really nails it. It's just a really well done book in my opinion, and definitely my number 2. So if you've been following along and you know which books are in this series, you now know which book I put at number 1, which I actually surprised myself a little bit putting this book at number 1, and that is book number 4, Uncle from Another Planet. Now this one, I did not think I would put it at number 1. I thought it was going to be like maybe 3 or number 4, number 2, somewhere in that range. Like it was definitely going to be in my top 5. But the more I thought about it, the more I thought, this is my number 1 favorite book of this series. This one has such a creepy atmosphere, especially if you like alien type stories like Signs or any of those sorts of like lonely, quiet sorts of places. This one actually reminded me of a Haunting Hour episode that's about how this is how the world ends. I can't remember exactly the name of the title off the top of my head, but it was a really quiet episode in a farmhouse, and that's kind of how this one plays a little bit. There is definitely something going on. There is some I would say eerie stuff. Even when you find out what's going on, there are some moments that are so eerie that you just look back on and you think, wow, that's just creepy. Like there's no way around it. That is just creepy. And I feel like the setting in this one is just the king of the whole book. The setting makes this book come together because the setting is so forlorn, it's so quiet and ominous that you just are kind of on pins and needles a little bit, wondering what's going to happen to the main characters. I really enjoyed this one, and the more I have thought about it, I feel like this one is my number one. There's legitimate danger that takes place. There's a great ending to it. I feel like it just has all the things that I would want in this kind of a spooky book. I really, really enjoyed it. This is my number one pick in the Heebie Jeebies series. So those are my rankings for all the Heebie Jeebies books by Paul Buchanan and Randall. I really enjoyed reading this series. It was a lot of fun to read. It was just great. Each book had its own little things, except for book number 6, Bigfoot. The Bigfoot one, Wild Ride on Bigfoot Mountain. I did not like that one. That one is actually not good. So just skip that one if you don't want to read it. But if you're a completionist like me, you can struggle through and maybe you'll find something in it that you like. I'm always trying to be positive. So with that said, that is my ranking of the Heebie Jeebies books from 10 to 1. What do you think of this series? Have you read any of these? Let me know in the comments down below. And until next time, everybody, keep reading. Bye.